Hi, everybody. I've got with me today Kenyon Salo, founder and checklist destroyer for the Bucket List Life. Don't call it a website, it's a movement. Welcome, Kenyon. How are
Hey,
you?
thanks so much for having me on board. I'm super fired up to be here.
Awesome. And when we first met a few weeks ago, I was really excited to talk with you more, to work with you more, and interview you for this series that we're starting because the Bucket List Life, you know, when we started talking, I immediately realized this is about a whole lot more than you being a content creator. This is about more than you being a blogger, a podcaster. Like I said, this is really a movement. Tell me about the Bucket List Life and how you got it started.
Well, the Bucket List Life really is a movement. It started in Christmas of 2013. So we're just over a year old right now. And it was a place where I was looking for direction in my life. What did I want to do? And I remembered I had an old bucket list that I had written out. And I thought it'd be really cool to start doing those things. But then I realized that it would be even better if I was doing them with some people. And then I realized, well, a lot of people don't have the same list that I have. So why don't I ask others what's on their list, and I could help them, and thus finding out that maybe sometimes they match and sometimes they don't. But in the long run, every single time it's something that I'm thinking, that was the best day of my life. And so it's become so much bigger than me. It is a movement. It's a global brand right now. And it's something really that a lot of people say, I don't know what it is, but I want to be a part of it. And what it comes down to is sharing life's experiences, because those are the ones that really only matter, and helping others. And people love to help out so much right now.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I was watching your video with Kids Crossing. You guys did the Christmas shopping, and it's such a cool thing to see when somebody thinks of bucket list. Some of the stuff that comes to their head right away, things about travel, and I want to bungee jump, and I want to jump out of a plane. But then as you dig a little bit deeper and you have some time to reflect and you see the kinds of things you're doing, you realize, we're all thinking about lists that are a lot richer than that.
It's
Um,
really true. It's like if somebody won $10 million, the first things they would do would be about the I. They would pay for things for themselves or go on trips or things like that.
mhm.
But very quickly, once they got past, say, number 10, they start thinking about the we, which is what we want to do. We want to help others. And so a lot of people start looking at that list like, how can I help someone else? What else could I do? Build a house for Habitat for Humanity or give back in a certain way, because it's really what fulfills us inside. Those other experiences are great. We all have them. I love to do them. But at the end of the day, they're still a little bit empty. And so really, a lot of people feel fulfilled at the end of the day when they do something for someone else, for others, or for a greater cause. And that's what we find, is that when we do those also in conjunction with what we do with the other stuff, like we wrestled alligators, that was super fun.
Yeah.
But we do those things together and people go, wow, you guys are well-rounded. You have a little bit of everything. And I want to attach myself to that cause.
Have you always been somebody, Kenyon, to just jump at activities like that, to jump into what you want, or was there kind of a seminal moment where you thought, this is how I want to be?
Well, for my whole life, I've absolutely done a lot of adventure stuff, whether it was climbing or hiking. I did professional snowboarding, also got into skydiving,
Hmm.
and pushed my way to really challenge myself in that aspect. But again, a lot of those things were individually for me. And
Hmm.
then recently, because of the bucket list life, because I was looking at life at a new angle, I started to look outward and say, well, how can I help others? How can I impact other lives? And that's where this thing really started to get traction. And I noticed more people just jumping on because they love a feel-good story. They love to see that type of stuff happen. And additionally, it's about me pulling people in that want to do something. I put them as the leader. I say, look, we fully support you, but you're going to lead this. And then they get to basically get empowered and get lifted up because it's something they always wanted to do.
Yeah, that ambassador concept. That's pretty awesome. That furthers your mission in such a really scalable way. I imagine it can grow your business a lot faster too.
Well, it really does, because we have people out and about. They're talking about us all the time, and a lot of people want to volunteer their time. That's the key. They say, hey, I'm good at this particular thing, and we find people's passions and say, I love this. I'm passionate about this. Well, great. How could you help us within the organization while you continue to do your passion? And then we recognize them for it. And a lot of people are missing recognition in their daily jobs or their daily lives. and they start to realize, like, wait a minute, these people not only care about what I'm doing, but they care about me. And that's a really big thing for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah, that is. It really strikes me, talking with you and the kinds of things you do, because your content isn't what people often think of as content, where someone's trying to be creative and they're trying to think of what am I going to put on the page, and I'm really struggling, and so I've got to work through writer's block and that kind of thing. Your content is about living.
Yes.
And that's something that I think it's hard for a lot of people to find, that motivator that is going to make them feel like they've got something really to say to other people, to show to other people.
Well, and that's the thing is I realized that everybody out there has an inspirational story. So when we started doing podcasts, I started interviewing the people, like average day people. And what I mean by average day people is I never know what kind of story they have. I asked one guy, I said, tell me something not many people know about you. And he said, look, I walked a puma for 30 days in Bolivia. And I'm like, no way, like a wild puma. Tell me that story. And another guy I was chatting with, and he actually helped find the Apollo rockets for Jeff Bezos from Amazon. And again, I didn't know that 10 seconds prior to asking that question.
Yeah.
So we ask people about what inspires them, but then we also come up with additional ideas for videos or written content, and the videos themselves are anything that we just think that there's a twist, right? Some way to find out that we could do something and then add a twist. And we had one example where one woman had gotten over ovarian cancer, and she said, look, I'm happy that people are alive and that I'm alive. I said, well, how can we help others? And she right away, she said, I want to see superheroes rappelling down from the Children's Hospital in Colorado. I said, done deal. We can make this happen. I didn't know how. I just said, we can. And sure enough, 6 months later, the Arvada SWAT team, dressed in superhero costumes, rappelling down the side of the Children's Hospital. And again, it was for the kids inside, their hands against the windows. And some of those kids aren't with us today, but it was one of those things where they got a moment in life that really changed their lives. And certainly Hallie also had an amazing moment too, because she got to have her bucket list item come true. And so we want everybody to win. Anybody that's partnered with us, it's a win-win-win scenario.
That's great. That's really great. And now you mentioned podcasts. You said you've done 49 podcasts so far. You've got a Twitter presence, a YouTube presence started, of course, your website. And you guys have a fantastic Facebook following. I checked, you're up over 104,000
That's
Facebook
correct.
likes. Is that right?
Yeah.
And it seems like it's ready-made for Facebook.
Yeah, it is. But people love to consume the content.
Yeah. And it's something that we're seeing a lot more of is folks who are content creators are discovering what's that mix. Where do they take off? Which channel really works for them? And it sounds like Facebook so far has been your dominant channel.
Well, Facebook is where a lot of people happen to play. They look, they're there at work, and they're at home. They check it in, they check it on their mobile. And so it's an easy place for delivery, especially with Facebook really pushing for video content right now. Yeah. They did over 3 billion views the last month. I mean, it's just growing and growing. They're really taking a really swipe at YouTube in itself. And so that's just another place for us to deliver content. And we do deliver across all the social media platforms that are relevant. And it's one of those things where, again, the central hub is Facebook in itself.
Yeah. So, Kenyon, what are some ways that you envision working with brands you think could benefit brands and their marketing objectives while at the same time furthering the bucket list life mission?
I think the partnership with brands is an absolute no-brainer. This is the type of scenario where we're creating stories. And that's what brands are looking for. They're looking for a way to get in with a story where they're not saying, hey, do an infomercial for me, do a commercial for me. Instead, it's a story where they're just part of the storyline and people feel good about that. Yeah. And so we're doing adventures. We're doing the feel-good stories. We're doing the things where people can get involved and they feel like that people are all coming together. And those are the stories where brands can be a part of it, whether it's subtle in the background or it's something where it's a part of the brand itself. Like we're using the brand itself to tell the story in a different way, because every single one of us is living a bucket list life. And if, say for example, someone has a business where they've decided that that's the thing that they've always wanted to do their whole life, that's their bucket list item. That's their dream. And we're helping bring that into the storyline because there's someone else who has always wanted to experience something like it they don't necessarily want to own the business, but they want to experience what the business has to offer. And when we marry those two together, that relationship right there, that tells the story that everybody wins. We win, the vendor wins, and the customer or client wins.
That's great. I mean, brands as storytellers is a marketing mantra these days, and so few of them actually create it, but what you guys are talking about lets them get inside a truly worthwhile story.
Exactly.
And it's also marketing that we think enhances people's lives, and that's the kind of marketing that we're hoping to help people create.
That's right. People use brands that they have a feel-good feeling about, and this is where it starts. It starts within the story. Then they say, yes, that's a brand I want to be associated with. Not just the Bucket List Life, but the brands that we support and we partner with. And I say, yes, I agree. They love, they do it. It's perfect.
That's really great, Kenyon. Thank you so much for taking the time with us today, and we're looking forward to watching the Bucket List Life grow and helping it grow.
Yes, I appreciate it. We're looking forward to our partnership with Content Boulevard.
All right, take care.
We'll see you.